The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel welcomes you to this edition of the Mayor's and Supervisors Weekly Update, brought to you by...
Each week, our community makes history. Each week, you make history. And each week, there's only one source to turn to for the first take on history. You know what that is? Subscribe to the Sentinel right now to discover the history being made in your own backyard.
The Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel. More than just your news, it's your history.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of the Mayors and Supervisors Update. I'm Chris Carosa, publisher of the Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel, and each week we bring you the goings-on in the towns and villages that we cover. This week we'll be starting with Joe Alati. He is in the town of Mendon. Joe, what's moving in Mendon?
Hey, everybody. The theme to start this week was grants. I met with a past public servant from a neighboring community to learn more about his success at pursuing grants. And I learned about a slate of clean energy program grants, about climate smart communities task force, which we have one here in Mendon now, and how that can open the door to DEC grant funding. I also learned about a potential 30% federal tax credit related to sustainable energy. We had a really good conversation. It was very informative and very interesting. So I wanted to share that with you. And all of it warrants further exploration, which we will be undertaking for sure. I also met with National Fitness Campaign representatives to discuss grant funding for an exercise court. This type of exercise court features multiple types of equipment that you can use with your phone. You can find exercises to do on your phone. And guides you through the whole process of using the exercise court. It's designed to do a full set of exercises in a 7-minute period of time. There's several of these installations in Monroe County. There's one in Rochester. There's one at Cobbs Hill. There's one in Chili I'm aware of. There's more than that. I think there's 4 altogether. And they seem to be very successful and widely used everywhere they've been installed. So I wanted to share that with the community to see if there's any opinions on whether or not this is something that you or your family would use. And please reach out to me and let me know. We'd appreciate that. Switching gears, last Friday I attended the Monroe County Supervisors meeting, and where Sheriff Todd Baxter was the keynote speaker. He had a big message that their officers do their absolute best to help, and they don't just arrest and throw people in jail. That furthermore, they offer a lot of services to assist those that are in the jail system. It's a tough job, and we recognize the complexity and challenges of the work they do. So it was good to learn about that. In particular, I like the fact that they provide a lot of services to the inmates to help them not return into the Monroe County jail system. So there's a lot more going on at the Sheriff's Department than I think we knew, and it was good to hear about it. Yesterday, I met with Brighton Town Supervisor Bill Moll. Bill's been on the job for quite a long time, many years, involved with Brighton, the town of Brighton, having multiple roles, and supervisor for quite a few years. But we spoke about budgeting mostly, and learning from other people that have been doing the job a long time, since we're going to be creating a budget coming up very soon here. I'm trying to get as much expertise as I can and learn as much as I can. And earlier this week, myself and 2 staff members took part in civil service training. This was a valuable 4-hour meeting. We learned a lot, among other things, about how to use their online system and all the job titles and various ways that civil service can help us, and things that we are required to do, reports to file, and that sort of thing. So that was a valuable training. I met with a town highway department liaison, Tom Voorhees, and other members of our highway department. Some of the primary updates: that brush pickup begins April 20th. Work is slated to begin, road work is slated to begin on Boughton Hill Road on May 26th. Keep in mind, this date is tentative, but somewhere around there, there will be road work happening on Boughton Hill Road. So the community needs to be aware that you will be getting notices. There will be information on social media as well as the town website about that, so you can check back on firm dates. We also expect I think there's going to be some bridge work done, Taylor and Chamberlain roads over the summer. I think there's 2 bridges in our area that are slated to have work done on them. So keep that in mind, and you'll hear more about those coming up. The equipment trailer and chipper was approved by our board at the last meeting and slated to arrive within the next couple of months. A couple big pieces of equipment to keep our crew moving and servicing the public. We're also working on pricing of new trucks to replace those that are reaching the end of their useful life. We've got a great program. We've worked out a really good replacement program on our trucks and equipment so that we retain the most value and the most life out of our vehicles. So I'm glad to share with you that the Highway Department's doing a good job with that. The insulation and liner have been installed in the cold storage building. Alarms are currently being installed and probably will be completed by the time of this publication. In collaboration with the library, we're exploring the possibility of installing a story walk. This is contingent upon grant funding, which we are applying for. But at this point, it's really just a theoretical discussion. There'll be some talk if we get the grant as to where we can place this. It would be great for families and kids to have this storybook walk in our town. So in terms of beautification, after 5 months of asking the state to remove a headless deer from a homeowner's yard, they finally did. Unfortunately, the state doesn't permit us to remove the deer ourselves, so we're glad that they got the job done. And now for the subject of potholes. We've had a lot of queries on those, mainly concerning Route 251. And likewise, since this is a state road, we've been querying the DOT, and our highway department continues calling them about this. I know citizens are calling in complaints about the potholes as well. I instruct and advise anyone out there that's experiencing problems with any potholes on the state roads to please call the state. And of course, if they're town roads, call the town. And if you're not sure, just call us. We're hoping for more calls as they get us. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is there are some limitations to the state doing pothole repair because of the asphalt plants not being open at this time. I'm not sure what the exact date is, but it's coming up really soon, and I'm sure they will get moving on that as soon as possible. But it's important they have a nice list to go by, and that way they can address all the problems. I'd like to address another issue that we've had with the 2026 community guide that's been distributed down here at Town Hall and other places within the town. The publication is put out by a private company. The town does not put that publication out. It's typically a fantastic resource for the community. However, this year's edition, unfortunately, it contained a plethora of errors regarding the names of elected officials and appointees and other information. It's really unfortunate that that happened, but we have called the company, talked to them, and hopefully we'll avoid this problem in the future. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank our IT specialist, Danny Bassett. Danny has the expertise and know-how to fix any tech issue we run into down here at Town Hall. He's just been superb, very resourceful, reliable, and he's always there. He's on site within 10 minutes if a staff member loses the internet or runs into some other critical issue. We're exceptionally fortunate to have such an asset so close to us and gets here as soon as possible, which generally is about 10 minutes. So I don't think we could ask for better service. So thank you very much, Danny. And that's about it for this week. If you're traveling anywhere for the spring break, travel safe and bring back some spring weather for us. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Joe. And thanks for plugging Danny. We use him too. He's a great guy. All right, what do we have next? We actually have something from Tim Schiefen that he sent for me to read regarding West Bloomfield. West Bloomfield has again extended their solar law moratorium. It has two board members taking the lead to organize, review policies they feel will best serve the town as it is related to large-scale solar projects. Pete Thompson and Christy Mulherin have met with two of the town of Lima's board members to see what Lima has in the works, since Lima is in the same position as West Bloomfield is. How to keep the rural charm and productive farmland working for its community and be ready for future proposed solar projects. They are also studying solar laws in a number of other local communities, such as Avon, Mount Morris, and Rush. West Bloomfield's desire is to put together a good policy for its community, which may help protect its sensitive areas here in town. Secondly, they are looking into additional measures to record their Zoom meeting audio and visual each month and subscribing to YouTube so the monthly board meetings can be replayed to West Bloomfield constituents online. More on that process next time, says Tim. On March 25th, the board convened so they could authorize the Ontario County Code Officers to officially take care of the code office and duties while the town is putting together a job description and notice to be sent to the county HR department. West Bloomfield is looking for applicants to run its building department as a full-time code officer and fulfill the clerk duties for the department and planning board. West Bloomfield will also be reviewing the gift of a weeping cherry tree from two community members as a memorial to a departed friend. The location will be chosen at the April Town Board meeting and installation soon afterwards by Bristol's Garden Center in Victor. Regarding the tax cap, like last month at the Village of Honeoye Falls, West Bloomfield too has a vote on overriding the tax cap. It looks like it may vote not to override the tax cap, which may be good news for many with fears of paying higher taxes. Regarding assessments, many have called and complained about the value increase of their homes and properties. Tim, too, has some concerns with the same. Like many of the town's constituents, he pays a lot of taxes on property in the town. Please work with the town's assessors, follow the process, and if you still feel the values assigned are too high, get online and find the New York Guide, How to File a Complaint on Your Assessment. Fill out the forms and get them into the assessor so you can get an appointment for grievance day. That's all he has for now. Thanks, Tim. And now it's going to be over to Rick in the Village of Honeoye Falls. Rick, what's happening there?
Well, Chris, thanks for having us again, and my apologies for being on the road. It's even hard for me to see the screen with the glare. I think there's something called sun out today, which is a nice change. But I'll be relatively brief today. Just wanted to mention a couple things. Supervisor Alati just mentioned a couple of the road projects in Mendon, in the bridges. Along with those bridges, with the Monroe County legislative meetings, we did just recently pass and approve the contracts with the construction teams for those projects. That these are county projects, county-run projects. So that is all moving forward, and some very positive benefits for the town of Mendon with that. Couple things for Honeoye Falls, just as a reminder, on April 7th, which is a Tuesday, that will be the date for our annual budget meeting, our public hearing. That public hearing will start at 6:05 p.m. And the reason we're starting it at 6:05 p.m. is that at 6 p.m. we will officially remove local law number 1, which was the local law to exceed the tax cap. Before we pass the village budget, we have to take that law off the books. So we have to create local law number 2 to remove local law number 1. We will then have the public hearing and hear any comments or questions on the village budget. As stated prior, there is not a tax rate increase. We are holding our tax rate level, and we are also not exceeding the tax cap. So we're very happy about that while still moving positive business forward. Right after that public hearing on Tuesday the 7th, beginning at 6:30 p.m., will be our annual meeting. That is the meeting where we make all of our legal designations, make our appointments, etc. So that will be at Village Hall, 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 7th. And lastly, I'm on the road today because I am just coming back from a meeting, and I'll be talking to Supervisor Alati about this very soon, but we had talked about it prior. I am very happy to say that we have come to an agreement and to terms on the sale of 20 North Main Street in the village of Honeoye Falls, currently known, or formerly known, I should say, as the Critics property. We are very happy that we have an agreement with Thompson Medical Hospital and U of R. And we will be having a urgent care come to the village of Honeoye Falls and town of Mendon. There have been studies done. Our area is one of the least serviced area in the General County region, and that includes parts of Ontario and Livingston County as well. We're very excited about this. There'll be a lot more news to come and a more official notice, but we are happy to have this project moving forward. It's going to be great for our community, and I look forward to seeing this all move forward. The hope would be that this medical facility would open mid to late 2027. So things will be moving along quickly, but that's some more great news here in the village of Honeoye Falls. Chris, that's it for me today.
All right. Thanks, Rick. Now it's over to Steve Schultz, town of Henrietta. What's happening in Henrietta, Steve?
Well, first, I'd like to thank my fellow office holders for talking long enough since I got here late. So I was a little afraid the meeting was going to be over, but glad you guys had a lot to discuss. Of course, the big news in Henrietta was the announcement of the Mary Cariola Center and new Golisano IDD Center. Tom Golisano donated $75 million. That's $50 million to the URMC to create a new intellectual and developmental disability center. So they'll be studying a lot of that. And then $25 million for Mary Cariola to open up a new middle school. And these will both be co-located at the mall, the former Marketplace Mall. So very excited about that. They just submitted their special use permits, so that process will begin. You know, it's a shame to lose the mall, but it's been declining for years. There's a lot of people concerned about the loss of tax base because both those new uses are tax-free. I'll note that the mall hasn't been valuable for quite some time. In 2017, it was worth over $100 million. Most recently, it was worth $28 million. That was last time it was reassessed. And of that 28, the vast majority of it, 16 million or so, is actually in the parcels that are going to stay commercial and therefore taxable. So, and we'll also note that included in that 16 million is Floor and Decor, who at the time they were reassessed hadn't fully opened yet. And so they were only assessed at 1.2 million. That store is clearly worth more than that. I'm not an assessor, but I can look at it and look at comparable properties and say it should be assessed higher. So I'm sure its assessment will be going up. So I vision will probably lose maybe $6 to $8 million in taxable properties off our tax rolls. Of course, over this past year, we've also added Bob Johnson, GMC. We added Skyworks. We're adding Raising Cane's. We have more than that. I believe we'll be adding more value than we're losing from the conversion of the main mall buildings to non-taxable. So I still think there'll be growth in our tax bill. One thing to note, last year we switched to a cyclical assessment program, so we will not be doing a reassessment this year. In fact, I think our next reassessment is 2029. It's either 2028 or 2029. So obviously, if a property changes, they do get reassessed, but then they are equalized to the 2025 assessment, which is the last time we did it townwide. In terms of projects, our band shelter is moving along. They just finished putting on the new roof. And so in a little while, it'll be turned over to town crews to add the restrooms in the stage. And so we're very excited about that. We used to have a canvas, it won't call it quite pop-up, but it was, it had to be raised and lowered every year, and it was seeing its age. And it also didn't take full advantage of the entire concrete pad upon which it sat. So this will be a bigger stage, a lot more dancing area under the shelter. So, on the days when we have the concerts and it's raining, there'll be more room for people to get underneath. So very excited about that. The dog shelter is moving along. We have had some initial discussions with Mendon as to whether they would like to join. So we're putting that information together. We did pursue a local government efficiency grant. So since there's there's already 3 towns in Brighton previously, I firmly believe Brighton will be joining. They've said as much. So we'll be at least 4 towns. There's significant savings for that. And so New York State has a grant program to essentially encourage and reward towns for combining services to save taxpayers money. So hopefully we'll get that, and that will be able to equip the facility. So again, saving all the towns more money. We have a new apartment complex that was approved at the former Delphi location. This location was originally industrial back when it was Delphi, and the developer came in with an industrial use, and it's right in our historic West Hamlet. And so a lot of the historic property owners were concerned about increased truck traffic going through there and pushed back and asked if the developer, they basically wanted us to stop to block the developer. So we legally they could have put the solution in. Fortunately, this is a developer who works with the town, and so we talked to him about other possible solutions, and he pivoted and went to apartments. So we then, also told him how we're putting in the new historic district, and so that would create a 150-foot buffer around all the historic homes. And he basically shifted all of the apartments to the east to get outside that buffer and a bit to the north. And, so it's one of those where a lot of people think, oh, well, if I complain about something, it gets approved anyways. If it's a legal thing, as a town, you typically have to approve it, or else they'll take you to court and win. But what we can do is modify that approval. So there's a bunch of conditions, again, they modified the site plan. So the concerns of the neighbors were absolutely taken into account. So I look at this as a win, as a number of neighbors said. They said, obviously, we'd have preferred it stayed empty. But if it can't, this is a good solution. So, like I said, if there's an impact you're seeing from a development, I encourage you to go to town hall and talk about it, and do so in a constructive manner, and not just venting, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. As I mentioned, Raising Cane's restaurant is coming to town. Especially a lot of teens are excited about that, and others who've sampled the food elsewhere. It's mostly chicken fingers, I guess, is their big thing. I've never been to a Raising Cane's, but we're going to be the first Raising Cane's in this region. So they're being located on Jefferson Road. in the Menotti Crossings Plaza, essentially between Panera and Shake Shack. So that'll be an exciting new addition. We did approve the layout. They have it set up so that there is a lot of queuing both in the restaurant itself for because they do a lot of drive-through business, as well as during that honeymoon period when it's likely to get an excessive amount of traffic. The entrances are only off of the plaza, not off of Jefferson Road. So that affords us the ability to have them set up extra queuing in the plaza so that there won't be any traffic issues. And then finally, so when the school district acquired the former Good Shepherd properties, that was a church, rectory, school, and a bunch of land. It also included a historic farmhouse. It was the Berger farmhouse. The Berger family, Henry Berger was I believe he was essentially, I think he was clerk to the school board, and he served for 25 years, and under his leadership, the high school got its first Regent certification back in the 1800s, I believe, or maybe not early 1900s, I think it was. Anyway, we acquired both the farmhouse and the former church, as they were both historic properties, and they could not be used by the school district. We've made use of the church, converting it to a like an event space and performing arts center. But we were struggling as to what to do with the farmhouse, and unfortunately, the hose from the sump pump burst. And so for about a week until it was noticed, it was essentially spraying water continually in the house. And as a result, there's mold. So we just kind of shut everything off, locked it up, and figured we'll figure out what to do with this. We were approached by a nonprofit who wants to open up a cafe that is operated by seniors with, or not seniors, sorry, adults with disabilities. And so we would love to support it, and we were trying to reach it. So we're trying to figure out how we could make that happen. And I'm going to give a plug for New York Association of Towns. If any town is not a member, they should join, because just the access to the attorneys there make it worth it. So we reached out to Kitty Hodgkin and Sarah Braccatella and got a response that because it's a historic property, we actually can do what we would like, as long as they commit to preserving the historic farmhouse. We essentially have to sell it to them at our cost. So that'll be the 50 cents we paid to acquire it, plus the any work we had put into it while we owned it, which again was not a whole lot. If you're wondering about the 50 cents, typically if you ever read contracts, they always say, for $1 plus other consideration, because to be a contract, there has to be a mutual exchange of consideration. And so when we bought it from the church, I actually handed Andy Whitmore, who was the CFO for the school, I actually handed him the $1. But since that was for both the church and the farmhouse, I figured we paid 50 cents. So, very excited to see that happen, because again, we'd love to see this farmhouse maintained and upkept. But I just had trouble expending taxpayer dollars to do that when we didn't have a good use for it. So the fact that somebody has a good use and we're going to be able to help a charitable organization open up a cafe that'll help our residents with disabilities, all wins. So very excited about it. That's about it.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Joe, anything more to add? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you both for being here, and Rick too, who signed off. Thank you all for watching. Remember, this show airs every Sunday at 1 p.m. on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Like the page or subscribe to the channel, and those platforms will notify you when the broadcast begins. Otherwise, you can read the transcript in next week's paper. That's all for now. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Imagine yourself communicating with a difference. Pan-Dimensional Solutions helps you do this. Whether live spectator events, taped broadcasts, or real-time audience-engaging programs, you can benefit immediately from the tools Pan-Dimensional Solutions will share with you. Do you want to make a difference? Contact us at pandimensional.com.